Well, the final score was 33-22. So if you just looked at the box score, you'd think, oh, well, the Eagles played tough on the road against a team that came in with a 4-2 record. No, no, they didn't.
The Eagles might be the best garbage time team I've ever seen, man. They pour it on in garbage time. You go up 30 on them, you have no shot. You just can't stop this team when they're down 30 points. They're a machine.
Yeah. Awful loss for the Eagles. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan with Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. There's a lot to get to, and we're going to talk about the offense, the defense, philosophy, the coaching staff, the players, and how they don't really blend together. It's weird. We're sitting here, it's October 24th, and a lot of these like questions that we're hearing, a lot of the talk that we're going through is like late November, December conversation, but that's how bad things are right now.
Yeah, there's definitely a sense of kind of hopelessness around them right now. They're not just losing, but it's how they're losing. They're just not competitive. Other than a comeback against the Panthers at the end of that game, and they trailed that game by double digits at one point. They haven't been competitive really for a while now. So they're all valid questions. And I'm like the king of not overreacting, but this is not a competitive football team right now. And, maybe they go into Detroit. I mean, Detroit's probably worse than they are and get a win. But
Detroit competes.
Yeah, they do. They gave the Rams all they could handle. But the point, either way, there's some very serious issues here that if they do beat Detroit, they're not going to be resolved. And I don't know if they will be resolved. I think it goes, and one of the points I made in my 10 observations is that you can blame the players, you can blame the coaches, you can blame Howie. It's all of them. It's everything right now. And I don't think there's any one thing that you say, this is the only issue. I mean, it's throughout the organization, and that makes it a lot harder to fix.
Yeah, and whenever there's a season like this, the blame game starts. And I'm not saying it's happening in that building, but it's kind of our jobs and fans want to know where the blame lies. So you start saying, well, it's this or it's this, but you're right. And it makes it trickier when there's a lot of different pieces of this. They don't have good enough players, and that's on the front office. That's on Howie Roseman. Their schemes aren't fitting the players they have. That's on the coaches. And their players aren't good enough within their own limitations. They're not doing enough. They're not super talented, but they need to be better, especially some of them. They're getting paid a lot of money. So it's a lot of different reasons this team stinks right now. And that makes it tougher. If it was like the coaches stink, everyone could say, well, fire the coaches, but it's not. There's not a simple fix to this, and that's what makes it difficult.
Yeah, there's been seasons where the Eagles have been really bad. And it's like, wow, if they only had a secondary, or if their O-line didn't stink, or if they only had wide receivers. But it's everything. You can make a list of. I can't even tell you where I would begin with, trying to rebuild this thing and where you start over. The two areas I thought they could at least count on, the O-line and the D-line, they both got manhandled today. Got it. It's terrible. So nobody's immune. Nobody's above being called out at this point. It's an organization-wide issue. It starts with Howie. There's no question. It absolutely starts with Howie. And goes right on down from top to bottom.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned it's hard to pinpoint things. Later on, we're going to try to pinpoint positive things in the shortest edition ever, maybe, of Dave's Positivity Corner.
I have a couple things.
I do too. It's a short list, though. There's not much. But you mentioned that no one's immune to the criticism. And right at the top of the list after this game is Jonathan Gannon, the defensive coordinator. And it seems like the head coach of the team is putting him there. He said we need to be more aggressive. And it's something we've talked a lot about with Gannon before, that this passive cover two defense, it has its place at times, but we see the adverse effects of it in a game like this, where the worst running team in football runs all over you, and Derek Carr, who's a very solid quarterback, but he's not Tom Brady, completes 31 of 34 passes because there's room on every single completion. This is like the most extreme passive. They went from such an aggressive defense to such a passive defense. And this defense is like, you need to have big plays to stop drives, and they're not getting enough of them. And it's hard to watch. There's something I think so demoralizing about an opposing offense driving 96 yards on you. And it happens a lot against this team.
Yeah, they have like the world's greatest punter. He keeps pinning teams deep down inside the 10, and they keep driving 96 yards the other way for touchdowns. Aaron Sipas has got to be wondering, what do I have to do here?
Did you see the stat I dug up?
Tell me.
The Eagles have given
up you on Twitter.
three drives of 95-plus yards through 7 games. Jim Schwartz in 5 years gave up 5.
Yeah, did you see my stat about in their first 1,285 games as a franchise, the Eagles allowed 8 quarterbacks to complete 80% of their passes. 8 in 1,285. In the last 5 games, 4 quarterbacks have done it.
Yeah.
And it just kind of tells you that, like, this defense works if you're facing Sam Darnold, or if you're facing Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, if you're facing a mediocre quarterback, it's fine. You're going to make a play at some point on that 12-play drive. But there's a lot of, quarterback play in this league is so high right now, and guys will just pick you apart if you don't challenge them, if you don't, if you don't try to make it difficult on them. And on the one hand, I understand that Gannon, he obviously doesn't have a lot of faith in any phase of his defense other than the secondary, and he's counting on somebody to make a play, like Avonte Maddox made one on a tip ball and stopped a drive, inside the 10. But you're not going to do that. And plus, the tackling is so bad that, to be able to stop teams regularly on third down, you got to be able to tackle, and to make those long drives, field goal drives or non-scoring drives, you got to be able to tackle, create turnovers, get stops. They don't do any of those things. Look, I don't know if there is a defense that this personnel would flourish in, but I know against above average quarterbacks, he's got to find something else, because it's obvious this is not working.
Yeah, and it's not just frustration from fans or even the head coach, but their star defensive player, supposed to be their star defensive player, a guy who has a chance to end up in Canton, Fletcher Cox, seems pretty unhappy about this scheme. And you can tell it's like boiling below the surface. He's letting it out with us in bits and pieces, but he's not happy about it. And he said it needs to be more aggressive. They went from being so aggressive it's complete polar opposites, especially for the linemen.
Yeah, I also think Fletch is not playing well, and I think I'd like to see a little more accountability from him. He did. I mean, he does refer to it a little bit, but I'm not defending the coach at all. But I don't want to hear Fletcher Cox, the way he's playing, blaming the coach personally. I just, I'd like to see him put it on himself, but that's just, I guess he's just not interested in doing that, because you can still play well even if you don't feel like the scheme is a perfect match for your abilities, and he's not doing that. He's just not making an impact.
Yeah, but I also think it's fair for these players to look around and say, well, we're not being utilized well. And Rodney McLeod, who's, he's never going to really stir the pot. I thought it was really interesting what he said. We have to be aggressive within what the scheme allows.
Right.
And I'm paraphrasing that. But the flip side of that is that kind of stinks, that you're limited to being aggressive within the confines of this very passive scheme. And I think it goes against defensive players, just their being, to be passive. I'm not saying it can't work in certain situations. And if you're facing Tom Brady and 3 great receivers, then it makes sense. Yeah, cover 2 shell and go from there. But man, to to not attack opposing teams has got to bother the heck out of these guys.
I'm sure, but you can still make tackles. You can still get pressure on the quarterback. I mean, there's within that, like Rodney said, I just like to hear Fletcher if he's gonna complain about the scheme, which he did very clearly after the game today. I'd like to hear him say, you know what, I can be better. I can play better. They're counting on me. I'm making a lot of money. I'm like, like you said, I'm 6-time Pro Bowler. I can make a play. He's made one play this year, and the ball just ended up in his hands. I think he has one sack, but it sounds like excuse making. And while I don't totally disagree with him in his, in his basic philosophy and theory here, I don't think he's wrong. I just think it sounds like excuse making.
Yeah, maybe it is for him, but I think his point about the defense overall is a valid one. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that it excuses his poor play, but I think there's obviously some truth to it. And sometimes excuses are based in truth, and maybe you don't want to hear them from a guy he has $100 million contract, and I get that. I mean, he does have to play better, but I think there is a lot of truth behind it, and I don't know if it's going to change. They had 10 days, Rube. They had 10 days to figure out what the heck they can do better, and they were worse in every facet.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it's not going to change. I mean, but again, ultimately, we can focus on Gannon, and he's been totally inadequate. I just don't see any talent out there either. I don't see any players. I mean, we've talked about this. Slay is fine.
He's good.
What's that?
Slay's good.
He's good. Yeah, he's a good player. Maddox has played well. Hargrave is still playing at a high level. He had some really good pressures today, but there's nobody else. There's just no players on this defense.
And they're not getting enough from their edge rushers. Their linebackers are,
useless.
Yeah.
Useless. Linebackers are useless.
They're less than useless because they're making things worse.
Yeah, it's true.
They don't have a good linebacker on this team. Not one. At times, Singleton will make a play, but how many tackles he missed today?
So many. Who's on the practice squad? Yeah, linebackers on the practice squad. They might be the best one on the team.
It's troubling, and this organization's refusal to put anything into that position is showing up, especially in this defense.
Right. Michael Kendricks just got released by the Niners. Haul him in here. Yeah. I guess my point is, while I don't disagree with Fletch, I just think it's a bad look from him. It looks like he's trying to displace the blame from himself to the coach. And while I don't think he's totally wrong, I also think he could play better. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's fair. But also in fairness to him, he was asked some specific questions about the pacificity.
Passiveness, yeah.
Is that a word, pacificity?
Maybe passiveness.
Passiveness? Okay.
But yeah, no, it's true. They're just not. I was looking at these numbers. Over the last 6 weeks, opposing quarterbacks have thrown 36 incomplete passes. That's
it's unreal. And look, there were some tough ones from Carr today. There was the one on the touchdown to the second coming. What's his name? Foster Moreau. They didn't miss Darren Waller today, but there was that one from Carr. It was a perfect pass. Epps has probably got to turn his head around. He had good coverage, but a lot of these throws were pretty simple.
By Epps, what was he looking at?
No, he wasn't looking at the ball. He did have tight coverage, but you make a play. It was a great throw. It really was a great throw by Carr, and he made some really good throws, but he also made some easy throws. And we'll get to the flip side on offense about easy throws, because there are easy throws. There are layups in this league, despite what Doug Peterson told us last year. There are layups, and when you get a layup, you have to make it.
Yeah, if you have a really talented defense, playmakers all over the field, solid linebackers who can cover and tackle, you can play this. This is a really sound defense that a lot of great teams have played. But if you're not making plays and you're not getting stops on third down and you're not tackling, teams are going to go right up and down the field on you if they have anything resembling a capable quarterback. And that's the disconnect. This is not a good fit for what they have. And I don't know if there is one, honestly. I don't know if there is.
Well, that's the thing. It's like
you got to try something else.
Exactly. If it's not working, look, I don't know if the alternative's worse, but it's hard to imagine it is. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. But if you try it and it doesn't work, you still have this. It's not like you can't go back to this. The problem is, Sirianni and Gannon talk so much this offseason about tailoring what they do schematically to what their players do best. And they haven't. They haven't done that. And that's what is very irritating because, Gannon talked about being so multiple and we're going to do things differently each week, but we're going to really put our player, and he hasn't done it. And Sirianni hasn't either. I mean, I don't think he's playing to his players' strengths on offense. He finally started to do a little bit of it early in this game. But
I thought it was really interesting how, Nick was pretty blunt about putting a lot of this on Gannon today after the game.
Yeah, and it's not the first time. A few weeks ago we heard about the difficult conversations. Basically, Sirianni yelled at him and told him this sucks. We need to fix it. And I'm guessing they're going to have some kind of talk like that again this week. And, they've been together for a while. And Gannon is someone who I think you and I thought very highly of, and I still do. I still think he has good ideas on defense, but it clearly isn't working. And I've been really shocked about how slow he's been to change things. And it's not good.
Yeah, no, you're right. They also, there's nothing I can add. You're totally right. I've been, look, I didn't think they'd have a great defense, but I thought they had a coach who really understood his personnel. And like you said, would do enough to keep opposing offenses off balance and guessing. And I like everything he said about how multiple they would be, how, he was eager to change things based on who was available, who they were playing, down and distance. All that's gone by the wayside, and that's really surprised me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hey, at Nissan, we just made your choice for a new car an easier one than ever with our most exciting and fuel-efficient lineup. The choice is yours, and get great offers across our full line. Shop your local Nissan store today at nissanusa.com.
All right, Rube, let's flip to the other side of the field, offense.
Oh, boy.
They scored 22 points, but let's not say they scored 22 points because a lot of it came when the game was pretty much over. The first drive was great. You're watching that first drive, you're going, holy cow.
I was going, who's calling the plays is my reaction.
They're under center. They're running with Miles Sanders. And really, do you think when Miles Sanders got hurt, it really just kind of threw it into a blender?
Clearly, although even on that drive, they hadn't run the ball yet, that second drive. So I'm not sure what the plan was, but you can't let that happen. You can't, if a guy gets hurt, you can't abandon the game plan. I personally would have immediately gone to Boston Scott as the lead back. I just don't think Kenny Gainwell is. I really like Kenny Gainwell's game, and I'm a big fan of his. But Boston Scott is the guy you want. We even talked about this. Like if somebody, if Miles got hurt and you happen to be running the ball that day, that Boston's the guy. He's had a big workload before. He can do that. We've seen him do it. He's had like 7 games in his career with double-digit carries, and he's played well in all of them. He's a tough, experienced veteran guy. What's he in his 4th year now, I think, including practice squad. And Kenny Gainwell's just not a high volume runner. He's a really exciting receiver and spot ball carrier, but I thought Nick was slow to make that change. He tried to get Gainwell in there. And look, I said that. I even tweeted it before the fumble. I'm not even second guessing because of the fumble. I just think Boston Scott, you just keep doing what you're doing. You just go with Boston Scott. And then, maybe Jordan Howard, you bring him up onto the 53 or elevate him or whatever. I think he's probably best suited to being that guy if Miles is out any appreciable amount of time. I thought that was a case of him not really understanding his talent and what he had.
Yeah, you're probably right. And in this game, it was the fifth O-line combination in 7 games, but I thought it was a pretty good combo coming in. They had Mailata at left tackle, Dickerson at left guard, Kelsey at center, Driscoll at right guard, Lane Johnson returning at right tackle. They were beat up today. I mean,
There's no way,
especially on the edge. I mean, Yannick Ngakoue and Max Crosby feasted today.
yeah, and there's no way Mulata's healthy. I can't imagine. I would think that knee's still bothering.
Toward the end of the game, I watched him limp off the field. His knee's not right.
Yeah, his knee's not right. They might have brought him back too soon, or he aggravated it. That's as bad as I've ever seen him play, I would say.
And Ngakoue's quick. When you're dealing with someone that quick and you're
not healthy.
You're not healthy. Your knee's messed up. It's going to be tough.
I mean, it's tough. Look, he played 2 games at left tackle, got hurt, played 2 games at right tackle, back at left tackle. It's not easy, but
and it's, I didn't think about this until right now. It's his right knee. And when he's playing left tackle, we have to ask Barrett about this. I'd imagine it's a lot tougher on your right knee.
I was right there.
Go get him now. I'd imagine it's a lot tougher on your right knee because that's your push-off leg when you're kicking on that side. So I wonder if it's tougher for him to play left tackle than right tackle, just from a physical standpoint.
It's very possible. I thought Lane struggled as well.
Yeah. And Crosby's a good player. I mean, he's I don't want to undercut him. He's Defensive Player of the Year candidate. He's very good. But Lane's also a Pro Bowler,
The whole O-line was just bad. And maybe it was a case of, it was the first time this group played together ever, which we've said about 20 times in the last couple of years. Dickerson just hasn't shown me anything. Even Kelsey lost his cool there, which was understandable.
I don't think I've ever seen Kelsey lose his cool in a game.
No, there was the time he kicked the wastebasket in the ball.
He'll do it in practice, yeah.
I've never seen him like that either.
And he has a temper, but that was really out of character for him.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that temper, but yeah, that was, and then Driscoll. I mean, he tapped that snap, that Jalen fumble.
What a fluky thing that was.
Yeah, and Jalen, to his credit, took the blame and wouldn't use it as an excuse. But the ball clearly changed direction, and he's not looking at the. I mean, he's trying to look at the defense and the ball, and
that's tough.
Changes directions. That's tough. But the O-line and the D-line are the two high-paid veteran areas on the team that have to be good if this team's going to have a chance to win games. And they were both bad. We're both bad today.
Yeah, and it does it makes it tougher to evaluate Jalen Hurts when the offensive line's not playing well. But he didn't play well.
No, I didn't really have any problem with Jalen. I don't think he had a chance.
He missed too many throws.
He missed a couple guys. He did.
He misses too many throws.
I'm not going to disagree. He was under siege today. He had no time. I don't know how many. Did he ever just go back and drop back and set his feet? He never got to do it. He's under attack the whole game, and they never have the ball. This team never runs any plays. This is 3 games in a row that they've been out time of possession by 10 minutes.
No, this one ended up being close.
Was it 33-27? I don't have it in front of me.
32-31 to 27-29.
Okay, that's still 5 minutes, but because of all the garbage time, they ran a bunch of plays. But when this team runs so few plays, there was one stretch where the Raiders scored 30 points and the Eagles had 7 offensive snaps during that. It's like they never have the ball because the defense has given up 90-yard drives. They can't get off the field, and the offense can't convert third down, so they're never on the field. So to me, I looked up. I think going into the fourth quarter, Jalen he was 8 for 16, and were there throws that he missed? Yeah, but I just
but you have to remember a lot of the times when they're getting off the field is because he didn't complete a pass.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
think he's accurate enough right now. And I'm not saying he can't get better. He's not accurate enough right now.
I don't think he was protected well enough to be accurate.
I disagree with that.
Okay,
because he's missing throws that are there.
I felt like I don't know anything about him. I felt like I didn't learn anything about him because I don't think the coach and the O-line gave him a chance to do anything. Maybe I'm too easy on him. Maybe I'll have to go back and look at some of those misses.
Yeah.
I just thought he was on the run every snap. Um, I don't know. I just don't think he really had much of a chance. But yeah, that was my takeaway.
Yeah, my takeaway was that all that's
I
fair,
know he
but
missed
you gotta hit the throws.
Devontae dropped 3 of them. He didn't have miles. He had no protection. The coach stopped.
Devontae dropped them, but they could have been a lot better passes.
Well, the third one was behind him. I'm trying to think what other misses he had that were egregious when he wasn't on the run. Yeah, Boldequez. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't great. I have no illusions about that. I just don't know how to evaluate it based on what I just saw. But I'll go back and watch it, and you could certainly be right.
Yeah, yeah, and look, people are gonna. It's Jalen Hurts right now. If you say good things about him or bad things about him, it becomes this. It's like a boat rocking, and all the water goes one way, and then it comes back. And I just don't think he was accurate enough today, and it's a problem that I've seen now for most of his time in this league. And I'm not saying he can't get better, but it's troubling to me.
We'll disagree on that. I didn't think that was the problem with the offense today. I thought there may be 2 throws that he probably wanted back, but I just didn't think he really had a chance.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to disagree about that. Yeah. And there was the one he did put on himself. It wasn't a throw. It was, I think it was a second down, and he scrambled, and he came up 2 yards short. It was a third down, and he said, "Look, I should have tried to get that first down." I think he slid, and that killed a drive. I give him credit. The one thing you can say about Jalen is he is super accountable. You mentioned Fletcher not being accountable. That 23-year-old kid is very accountable.
He's accountable, and he's really tough. Really tough. Mm-hmm. One thing he did today that he hadn't been doing was, for the most part, I mean, he was fighting for extra yards. I think because he kind of sensed that was the only way they're going to move football.
He picked up a first down fighting through what was a pretty big hit earlier in that drive or previous drive, and then later on, no, it was previous drive, and then later on that one where he left a couple out there, he was like, I probably should have done the same thing. But it's tough because he is taking shots.
I just feel like there's nothing helping him, I guess is how I feel. Like he's out there trying to be an NFL quarterback, and there's some good and there's some bad, but there's nothing helping him. He doesn't. I mean, Goddard has some nice catches today.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. All right, can we cut that out, Ben? No. I just feel like there's nothing helping him, whether it's coaches or players or game plan or play calling, or it's just he's out there like trying to do it all himself, and that's a really tough way for any quarterback, much less a 23-year-old kid, to go about his business. I hear what you're saying about missing throws, and we do see that. I just wish I could see him with a good O-line playing at a high level and good play calling and a running game and balance, and maybe a veteran receiver out there who he could count on. Because they don't have that right now. And I think Devontae is going to be a great player, but it was a shaky game for him today. I mean, he made a couple catches and he dropped a few. So I just don't see him getting a lot of help. So, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I think we're coming at it from different sides, but I think we kind of agree.
Yeah. I'm not discounting what you're saying. I think there's some truth to it. I just think he needs to be better. And I think he would admit that too.
Yeah.
What did you make of some of Nick's decisions in this game? The one he kind of got bailed out by the Avonte Maddox interception later on that drive, but there was a penalty that he wanted to accept, and the referee thought he declined it. So it was going to be a 4th and I think 3. It was a 4th and short.
It's 4th and 3.
4th and 3, yeah. And the Raiders punt team is walking on the field, and apparently no one on the Eagles noticed it because he's still accepted the penalty, and they get a 3rd and 15 and they convert it. And luckily for them, Avonte Maddox gets that pick, but that was weird because it seemed like he made that decision, and then don't they have people in the booth be like, hey, their punting's gone out. Keep it.
Yeah. Somebody has to be responsible there. Whoever it wasn't doing their job. They were lucky Avonte bailed them out. But certainly, and he certainly would rather have a 4th and I would rather have a 4th and 3 and then a 3rd and 15, just because, I mean, if you know that they're going to punt.
With that information, it's obvious. Yeah. If you didn't know they were going to punt, that's a different story. But I also didn't like his explanation for why he accepted the penalty. He said, well, on our call sheet, it's a go. Like, we go for that on 4th and 3. Well, you're not playing yourself, Nick. You have to know the tendencies of the team you're playing, not the team you are.
Yeah, that kind of struck me as well. If they were playing themselves, they'd have a chance to win, I guess. I don't know who would win that game if Sirianni's coaching both teams. I don't want that's too deep. I don't want to get into that. But I didn't mind the onside kick to open the second half. You're trying to do something to get back in the game. I figure they're going to score anyway.
If anything, it saved them some time.
Whether they get a long field or a short field, they're going to score. So you may as well have a chance to get the ball back. And it almost worked. Yeah,
it looked like that the last bounce kind of popped up. And if it doesn't, I think Jake Elliott has a chance to get his own onside kick. The onside kick's a tough play in this league right now. The new rules have made it's almost impossible. But it looked like they got close on that one.
And Jake actually did a great job of kind of surrounding the ball, but not touching it before 10 yards. He did a really good job of that. Something they had worked on, something Michael Clay, the special teams coach, had seen and thought they had a chance at the right time to pull it off.
Well, they didn't have many opportunities to kick off. So
I'm sorry.
They didn't have many opportunities to kick off. So when you get a chance,
try to get him some work.
Yeah. I was fine with the onside kick, and I get why you might not be, because it does, maybe you can look at it and say it shows he doesn't have faith in his offense or his defense. But
why would
if they schemed it up and they thought they had a chance, see, clearly they had a chance at it. I get it. It would have been a big play. It would have been a big momentum shift.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll never know what would have happened, but it was worth, at that point, nothing's going well. An onside kick can be a real difference maker. So.
Yeah, if it works, hero.
Yeah. Any other decisions?
No. Well, there was one. There was a 5-yard catch by the Raiders that put them down on the 1-yard line. I wanted to ask Nick about this, but I didn't. I don't think it was a catch, and it set up a 1-yard run for a touchdown. That, to me, I thought it would have been worth a challenge. So 5 yards down in that area are really big, and you gave him a kind of an easy touchdown. I probably would have challenged that. I know he's got people in zero. They're probably watching it, and they're saying, no, it was a catch, or, it's not clear enough. But to me, that would have been worth the challenge. 5 yards down inside the 10, to me, that's worth a challenge flag. I would have thrown it there. And you look, no one's going to believe me, but at the moment I was like, I'd challenge that,
What did you think of the? I thought they were going to reverse the Gainwell fumble.
They did too. They put the offense back on the field.
I mean, it really looked like his.
I still haven't seen a good replay on that.
It looked like to me like his left knee was down, or his left elbow, just before the ball came out. I was surprised I think whatever the call was, they would have stuck with it, I guess. But
yeah, the Eagles clearly tried, they tried to sway it, because they ran their offense back on the field during that challenge.
Yeah.
Think that ever works? You think a ref would ever get swayed? I guess not. They're not even making the call anymore.
Right. No, I don't think anything that Nick does works, actually. Hey, score big with the AAA Eagles MVP membership, along with the superb roadside assistance and discounts we've all come to expect from AAA. Get exclusive Eagles-related perks. For details, visit AAA.com/Eagles.
Okay, we've reached the time you guys have all been waiting for. Dave's positivity corner. It's going to be a quick one. Oh, man, it's not a good sign when I can't even say positivity corner without breaking down. All right, what do you got?
The Sixers are up. Sixers are up 13 with 4 minutes to go. So
how about from the Eagles game?
Oh, it's got to be from the game.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, Goddard looked good. 3 for 70. While his friend Zach Ertz was, I think, something like 5 for 66 for Arizona.
47-yard touchdown.
47-yard touchdown down the left sideline. His longest touchdown of his career. Played 128 games as an Eagle, and his longest touchdown was a 35-yarder from Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, and so I think it's the third longest catch of his career. Is that right?
Yeah. So I think, that kind of is in one day. That's evidence of why this is best for both of them. They're both trying to get contracts. They're both number one tight ends, and they're both better off as close as they are. As much as we all, appreciate Zach Ertz and think so highly of him and respect him as a player and a person, he's better off. He's better off there, and Dallas is better off here, and that's the reality.
Yeah. All right, I have one for you. Nick actually ran the ball a little bit. I know it didn't. The offensive success didn't last, but that first drive was fun to watch. They're under center running the ball with Miles Sanders. Who'd have thunk it? And here they go down the field and score a touchdown. At least it shows he gets it. He gets it and needs to run the ball more. And he's said that before and he didn't do it. So the fact that he actually tried to do it in this game, it's encouraging. It actually is encouraging.
Yeah. How much did you think it was going to last, though?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it depends on the flow of the game. They get down, I think he's going to abandon it first chance he gets. But I think but at least under center makes some sense. Vary it a little bit.
I would agree. But that first drive, I mean, that was as good as they looked. I mean, I just like how he mixed Miles in and he stuck with it. And, he ran the ball. I mean, Boston and Kenny had another 12 carries, so they had 18 from the running backs, even when they got down. I think the key is, you have to abandon a run at a certain point if you're getting blown out. Like if you're down 17 in the third quarter, if you're down 20 in the second quarter, maybe. But if you're down 14 in the second quarter, you don't have to stop running the ball. You don't have to stop trying to run the offense.
And earlier in the season, he's used that excuse when they're not down that much.
Right. Oh, well, it was 10-0 in the first quarter. So, you got to throw every day. Yeah. But
positivity corner. Positivity corner.
Right.
Positivity corner.
I got nothing other than Goddard and the Sixers. Sixers now up 13 with 2:54 left. By the time this is,
I don't know why you're giving play-by-play of a Sixers game that's going to be world
play-by-play. Although the people doing play-by-play are like 10 feet from me, which is really interesting.
The Dolphins lost. They were up in that game. Matt Ryan drives the Falcons down the field, kicks his field goal.
Matt Ryan kicked a field goal?
Yeah, I realize that you're going to pick me up on that. Yeah, they kick a field goal and they win that game. That's a big deal. That's fun.
Positivity, never mind. That's a topic for next podcast. But I think next podcast, let's take a look at those 3 picks and what we might do with them. Okay.
Yeah, I like that. It's time to start thinking about that a little bit because the Detroit next week, it's a game the Eagles should win, but nothing's a given at this point.
Yeah. No, nothing's a given. I don't know who I'm going to pick, but did anybody pick the Eagles in our group?
Yes. I think it was 3. We were split almost down the middle. We can't be down the middle. There's 5 of us picking. There were 3 Raiders, 2 Eagles. We were both Raiders.
I think we're both 6-1.
Yeah, we are.
I got the Niners wrong. Which one did you get wrong?
Niners.
Interesting. Yeah, we both got fooled into thinking they were good after the Falcons game.
Yeah, they got us.
Positivity corner, so we can talk about being 6-1 in our picks.
That's positive. We're much better record than the team we cover. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, click the like button and subscribe there as well. Saw a bunch of Eagle Eye listeners down here in Vegas. It was really cool. Thank you to everyone who gave us a shout. It's always fun. It's always the pod listeners who stop us, which is cool. All right, that's it. We'll be back with you guys this week as the Eagles get ready to play the Lions. This has been Eagle Eye presented by Nissan.